Welcome to the Academy for Men's Tribal Fire podcast. I'm Michael Gibson.
And I'm Lance Cole.
Yo, man, you ready to start a fire?
Yeah, let's light it up.
We've been doing this tribal fire thing for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing that really gets me is that we've done a lot of psychology.
We have.
We've had some deep conversations, right?
Yes.
And tribal fire, right? To be clear, is about igniting a fire in men's hearts for women, right?
Yeah.
For just who they are, and I have a lot of admiration for women. I know you do too, and but we haven't done much of the admiration part of, I mean, for Christ's sake, dude, we're trying to help men become shaman of women, right?
Yeah.
Like, to step it up a bit, right?
Sure.
Anyway, I would start out by saying you know what I love about women? The thing that I love most about women
What's that?
is how unique each and every one of them is. It's
yes, very much.
So I mean that's kind of a I could put some judgment on that, but what's interesting to me really is that if you interact with every woman as though she's one woman, you're going to find yourself lost and not knowing what to do.
True.
And then we start hearing that thing about how men are like, oh, women are so complicated and all that stuff. And it's like, no, women have needs, men have needs. We both have similar needs. We need to eat and drink and, poop and fuck.
Yeah.
And women need it just as much as men do. And what I love about women is how unique they are in their coming up in life and how they were raised. Were they raised by a single mother? Were they raised by a single father? Or were they in a household where it was a monogamous relationship with cheating or without cheating? Or like these are all different variables to the person's life, right?
Sure.
And women have very different ways of approaching or understanding their own sexuality. And most of the time, this is a blanket statement, most of the time shame is involved.
Yes.
Right? A woman who loves to have sex is called what?
A slut.
Yeah.
Or a whore.
Right.
Yeah.
A woman who doesn't particularly want to have sex a lot is
I don't know.
a prude.
A prude. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Right?
Prude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and both have different reasons for why they don't behave the way they do. And what I think is so unique about women is discovering that, for the most part, the one thing that I can say that I've learned, and that is that women want to feel safe.
Yeah.
Women want to feel safe with you.
Yeah. Totally.
You know what I mean? Like they know that there's not an attack coming,
Mm-hmm.
or there's shame coming, or whatever, right?
Right.
And yet, this uniqueness lends itself to how they respond to safety as well.
Yes.
Like, so pretend that you're the man that makes a woman feel safe, and it doesn't matter who she is. That woman may find herself feeling very uncomfortable feeling this safe around you. Because you've taken on those skills that matter to women, which is being present, being a strong communicator, authentically masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be a little bit, I wouldn't say unnerving, but maybe daunting for a woman. And refreshing.
Sure.
I think women enjoy the fact that, here's this guy that's actually could have a conversation with me and get me as a person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Lori gave me this. My beloved Lori Handlers gave me this some time ago because she wanted to make sure that I always had somebody to sleep with. So
That's super sweet of her.
That's sweet of her.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because she and I are we have a different relating. And we don't call ourselves boyfriend, girlfriend. We don't attach or assign ownership to each other, right?
Sure.
Like I don't own her. She doesn't own me.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting conversation to have with people when they go, so, who's this? Is your girlfriend or whatever? And to say, no, she's not my girlfriend.
Yeah. It's not in a box.
Yeah.
We humans like to put things in boxes.
Right.
We totally do.
So yeah, so now we're just like what's the word I don't even know how to define it because it's not like anything I've ever been in before.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really any way to define something like that.
Yeah.
Right, you guys just you love each other. You have a deep longing for a partner in life that can meet you, and you guys meet each other.
Absolutely.
But yet you still own who you are and live your life in the world. You know, that's fucking awesome.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's amazing.
It's fun.
Amazing, you know?
She brings a lot to the party.
Yeah.
Lori Handlers does.
Yes, she does. Very much so. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I think that makes women interesting is, you know, really like on that level, right? When you meet a woman and you feel like you meet her and she meets you.
Yeah.
That you can hold on to your sovereignty and not feel afraid that you're going to dilute somehow. I told her in the very beginning, I said, one of the things that I don't like about relationships, quote unquote, is that it dilutes me.
Yeah.
I become so close to her, to the woman I'm with, and then eventually move in together and all these other things. And I went, I just know myself. I know myself pretty well, and I don't ever want to do that. And when I start to feel that way, I run.
Yeah.
So you should know that. Like I told her that. Like I was straight with her up front, and I said, you should know that. If I start to feel that way, I'm going to back away and want space for myself.
Yeah.
And I said, and it's not because, you know, I need my space.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that. It's that I need to be alone.
Right.
Like I need my space from Lance. I need my
It's
space
not
from
it's not just
human
her.
being, like
Yeah,
all human
yeah.
beings, right? I
Yeah.
just need my space. And she got that.
Yeah.
She really did. And she also communicated her desire and need to be with each other and fellowship, not just, you know, sexually, but fellowship, like really connecting and getting
companions,
getting to know exactly,
being a
Thank
companion
you.
to each other. So you can meet, you can live life together. You can enjoy each other's company. You can do things. You know, you can meet up. You can be intimate. You can travel. You can teach. You can do whatever it is you want to do.
Absolutely.
And it's awesomeness. You know,
So, I
and
don't
then
know-
you can split and separate, and
it'd be awesome as well.
And it's awesome as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I call it when we do split up. She travels a lot. We're about to start traveling together here quite a bit, but she travels a lot, and so when she leaves, I have great joy in when she leaves because I know that I'm going to miss her.
right?
I call it the gift of missing.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I do.
I get to miss her. I actually get to miss her. And it allows so there's a couple pieces here, and I want guys to get this. Like this is the stuff that I think about when we talk about tribal fire, like you start to educate yourself about things.
Yeah.
We're a mishmash of a lot of different things, these human bodies that we're in, right? We've got our brains, and chemicals run our brains, and we've got, you know, the physical piece of us, which is, you know, bone, you know, sinew, muscle, fat, for some of us more than others. But we have these bodies, and we have hormones, and we have these interesting chemical mixes that are happening. And how those mixes interact with other systems. Yeah. So there's my system, which I have all my hormones and, you know, all of it, right? Pheromones and everything.
Yeah.
And then she has hers. But then when you put those two together, something starts to change chemically.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? It's just being together. It's being in each other's space for so much time.
Yeah. There's physiology changes and energetic
So
changes.
after a while, this dilution happens of the chemistry.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments where I go, okay, I need to go back home.
Yeah.
And so we live separately. And so I do that. And I also don't like to sleep over because sleeping over does something too. It's like being in the bed together for 8 hours. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
You're
and that's a whole different, that's like a whole different conversation too.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so much that goes on when you sleep.
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
Well, and there's, you know, and if you wake up with a heart on and
that happens often.
you're not asleep anymore.
Yeah. No, you're not. No, you're
Okay.
not.
All right. So let me peel that back.
Pull that back a little
Pull that back a little. Crazy conversation to start up with, but I mean, it's so that, and we do things just very differently. Like how we do things is so different.
Yeah.
And so magical and so all of that. And then I realize, and I have another lover as well, and she's completely different.
Yeah.
And she's completely like, we have this completely other way of relating,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I still have my, like, I don't sleep over and all that.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I do for my own, myself. My
Yeah.
own, I don't want to say sanity, but for myself.
Well, you keep your boundaries.
I do.
Yeah, you keep your own boundaries.
And but then the other stuff that she and I interact on is completely different than what's going on, and so it's really, it's so unique. Every woman, when I say is so unique,
yeah.
that's what I mean by that. Like, that's a different way of relating altogether,
Mm-hmm.
completely different.
You learn a lot about yourself too.
Yeah,
Especially when you're interacting
Mhm.
with the different women.
yeah. And so one of the core values that she has, and she shared with me, and I align with completely, is that our relating should nourish the relating of our partners, of our primary partners.
Absolutely.
Right? So she and I are on the same page in so many different ways, and that being one of them.
Yeah.
You know, I want her to leave me and go to him feeling nourished and feeling even more nourished being with him.
Yes.
Right? That relationship is growing
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Lori. You know, I want that to grow as well because of this, because I'm in love with her.
Right.
And let's just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Quite possibly the most amazing, eclectic, intelligent, sexy, like, powerful woman I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. I completely
I'm
agree
sure at
with
least
you.
one or two other people listening would agree too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everybody she meets feels that way about her.
Yeah. Yes.
For sure.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
And I'm fortunate enough to get to spend time with her in that intimate way. So I don't take it for granted at all. And I hope this is nourishing to the people that are listening right now, to the men that are listening right now, because like, there are different ways to do things. And one of the reasons that I bring this up is because this has turned into something I call my dragon.
Oh, got it.
Right.
Okay.
So you and I met at a Bliss
3.5
years ago.
4 years ago. Yeah.
It's close to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you from Adam. I don't even know who Adam is.
Yeah.
And you were impressed. I was impressed by you. Like, I was like, oh wow, who's this guy? You know.
Yeah.
And so it was a great program, Bliss, which you're teaching September 8th, right, 2019. So that's happening this next Sunday,
month. Next month.
Next month. Yeah.
Yeah, the beginning of the month.
September.
About 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you can get there, please do. If you're in Phoenix, or if you need to fly to Phoenix, it's a 1-day program, and Lance is masterful. Lori will also be leading it.
Yeah.
And so that's a rarity. She travels so much that she doesn't usually get to do that. So if you can get here, do that. Bliss is amazing. It's an incredible program. So as I say this, going beyond that, then we linked up at what is it? It's still 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I think that was the next program that you and I did together.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the next time we were together.
Yeah.
We saw each other a couple times.
Yeah, we hung
in
out.
and
We did
yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
But in that was where I got to see you as a dragon. Like, you stepped into your own like that. And this is where I got the concept of the dragon.
Yep.
The idea of it, right?
Yep.
And then the Academy for Men has always been Lori's dragon.
Yeah.
Lori is the she was the all-encompassing think tank on that one. Like, there was nobody else.
Totally.
It was totally her. And when she shared that with me, I went, wow, I get this. Like, I understand what you're trying to do with the Academy for Men.
Yeah.
That was her dragon.
Yeah.
What my dragon became was just add skill, and how do we implement this idea of hers and put it into actual practice where men can learn things they absolutely need. That became my dragon.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Here we are.
Be careful. Dragons are tricky.
Yes. Very much so. Yeah.
They are tricky. And I don't want to go down the road of saying, well, they have agency and they're thinking whatever, feeling beings. They're not. Dragons in this context are an absolute must. I got to do this.
Yeah. It's a metaphor.
It's totally a metaphor.
Yeah. So it's grabbing dragon, riding it, taking it to the top.
Well, you got to learn how to feed the dragon first.
You got to learn how to feed it. You got to learn how to nurture it. You got to learn how to Be with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
All
exactly
that.
what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So when I started mentioning the dragon, I thought, God, what a metaphor. This is the perfect metaphor for what it is. Because at some point, you're going to want to ride that dragon.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And if it's a little dragon, I'm feeling so much like Khaleesi right now from Game of Thrones. But if you start with, you got to realize that you're going to start with this dragon that's an egg, and you're going to, nourish it and hold it, keep it warm, and eventually it's going to crack and open up and become this little being of something. And that's kind of where we are right now with Tribal Fire and the Academy for Men. So it's happening like that. And I recognize just what you said, man, just a second ago. You're going to have to learn how to feed it. You've got to train it.
Yep.
You got to clean up the shit.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you ever ride it.
Yep.
You've got to gain its trust.
Yep.
Right? You got to work with it.
Yep.
You got to work with yourself. There's some changing that I've got to do in order for this to grow.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
do you, right? So your dragon happens to be
my dragon. My dragon is this right with you. Yeah, it's this. It's
so you've got to have partners.
Yeah. You totally do.
Right? Trainers.
Yeah.
Other guys that have been through a lot more. In fact, you've been through a lot more than I have. And, I honor that.
It's about the tribe.
It is. No, I get it.
About
I get
doing
it.
that. Yeah.
But you want to surround yourself with people. If you've got a dragon, you're going to want to surround yourself with people who have experience. And so that's, I think if I've done nothing else that's brilliant, I got Lance involved.
And Lori too.
And
My
Lori,
goodness. Yeah.
So she enrolled me, and then I enrolled you, and we've been going ever since. That's a dragon, dude.
That's the dragon.
Let's tease this out a little bit because it's an interesting concept to talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My dragon at one point was to understand women and what it is that they need.
Yeah. Sure.
And I did a lot of work on that. I've done.
This feels like a continuation of that.
Oh yeah, it is. I've done tons of surveys. I've asked women point blank, how many times have you ever had a multi-orgasmic experience?
Yeah.
How many experiences like that have you had? Very low numbers. Yeah. Guys, we usually can get away with one orgasm, maybe two, and if you're trained, 3.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Women can have 10, 15, 20 orgasms.
Yep.
They're physically capable of doing that. And then you ask them the question, how many of those experiences have you had? And it's like 2%.
Yeah, it's really low.
It's low.
Yeah.
I mean, those numbers are crazy low. All right, so going back to, that was one thing that I had in my head as a dragon for a long time. And I'm riding that dragon now.
Mm.
But that was a different dragon. Right? This dragon's way different. This is a black dragon. Can you see all the black?
Right. That was a red dragon. This is a black dragon.
Black dragon. Yeah, that was a dragon of the heart.
This feels like a continuation, almost like an offspring of that dragon, though.
Sure, yeah. That dragon had a baby, and now we're training it.
Yeah, we're training the baby of that one. Yeah, truly. It's true.
That's interesting.
It feels
it's
that way.
it's an interesting thought. Yeah, no doubt. So let's tease it out. When you think about what it is that you want to do with your life, and you've got a purpose around something that just keeps you up at night and wakes you up early in the morning.
Yeah.
It's that situation where it's like, I don't know what to do, but I've got to do something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what would you recommend? I mean,
do it. Do it.
Do it.
Period.
Just do
Right, I mean, what do you do with that? I was going through this today when I was at home today. I was doing stuff. I was prepping for my week. I'm going to travel this week, so and I'm there and I'm going, what am I going to do? So I sat down, kind of got a little weird, watched a little TV, and then I got up and then I'm like, okay, I got to write some stuff. So I wrote a little bit, which is also part of my dragon. I feel like I have like a couple of dragons in the fire, like, or cooking right now. It's kind of strange. So what do you do? It's with most things in life, right? You get into it and you get this energy of, I got to do it now. I got to go now. I have to take care of it. And that's like the society we live in. That's like this like technology at fingertips all the time. With dragons, you got to nurture them. You got to sit with it. You feel it. You get that essence, and then be with it, and let it gestate.
Yeah.
is a good word.
That's a
good
great word. Especially when you're just becoming aware
Yeah.
that you're pregnant with this thing.
Right.
Like and that's what it feels like, isn't it?
Yeah. It feels like you're pregnant. It feels like you have something that you need to birth, that you need to, get to, and it's a fire in your gut.
Mm.
So move energy around it. I've moved energy around stuff, done emotional release to try and get more in tune with what's happening, So use the tools, use the different emotional release tools. But yeah, I would say just breathe with it, be with it, allow it to gestate. And when you get the urge or you get the hit, like the intuitive hit, about I gotta make some notes, I gotta do this, I gotta record something, I gotta write this down. Write it down, do it.
Oh yeah,
just do it.
Take notes.
Don't question it.
Yeah,
you just okay, this is what it is, and then see how it births, and somehow get okay with that process, with that slowness of process for yourself. Until it's not slow anymore. Until it just takes off.
It starts moving,
and it'll start moving.
Yeah.
And if you do these, for me, that's what I do. I do these little steps. I started taking notes on a book. I had notes on my phone from 2015, 2014.
Wow.
So I've been taking notes for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Right.
I might only write one book, but how long have I had to write it?
It's yeah.
And
the other thing
that's
is
one of my dragons.
The other piece of it is writing.
Yeah.
Right. There comes a time when you feel to write. Like I've got so much in me that I need to write this down. And the danger is to go, oh no, it's got to be perfect. No, it doesn't. You just need to put it on paper.
Yeah.
Just get it or
Notes.
get it in the word processor.
Yeah.
Right. Just get it out of you.
Yeah.
I like the one that you use that has the voice to text.
Yeah.
That is so great because it allows you just to dictate what it is that you feel you want to say, and you can say it multiple times, and then take it and edit it.
Yep.
That's great.
It turns it in. You can email it to yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm in my car. I'll hit record.
Yeah.
And just start talking.
Yeah.
And then go home later and email it to myself.
Another way to do this, and by the way, these are like real world what I do, what Lance does.
Yeah.
I also record myself. I have this recording app on my phone that I'll just turn it on. I've got one of those little lavaliers.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. That I'll just plug it in. I have it with me at all times. I'll plug it in, tie it into my phone.
Yeah.
Hit that record, and I'll put the phone in my pocket and walk around and just talk.
Yeah.
And I've got hours and hours and hours of and I'll go back and listen to myself. Yeah. Because I'm vain. I'm kidding. I'm a little bit vain. I'm a little bit vain.
You have to go back and listen. Especially if you're in creative mode. You're in creative mode. That's the whole point.
I'm always joking. I'm sorry.
Riot.
I know. I'm trying to get a zinger in every now and then.
I'm too fucking literal.
Love it, man.
Okay.
I actually do go back and listen to them, and then I take other notes, and it's I get to tell myself my own story, and this is what becomes of it, right? As you're telling yourself your own story, either on page or in a recording, it's almost like you're sitting on this egg to hatch it. You're trying to get it to the point where it's ready to hatch, and then when it does, get ready for some fucking chaos. Yeah. Okay, and you're gonna need help. Someone to tend this new thing. You're gonna need to have an enrollment conversation with somebody, talk to them about what it is that you're doing, share your, this opening that you have now in your life. Yeah. Call it a dragon, and then start to figure out what this dragon needs in order for it to live, in order for it to come to life. Yeah. It's going to need food, water, whatever a dragon would need, right? So what is the food of the dragon? What is the water of the dragon? What how much time should you spend playing with it and teaching it things and getting it ready so that at some point you're going to mount this dragon, you're going to ride this thing. And I got to say, in 5 years from now, we'll have a full-grown dragon.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Each of us. This won't be you and I riding this one dragon. It'll be we have our own.
Yep.
And that's exciting as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm lit up about that. Yeah. And And then there comes a time where, you have to be careful with your dragon
Yeah.
because they breathe fire
They do.
or whatever they breathe.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're feeding it all the right things and making sure it's healthy. I think of it back in the times of, when dragons might have been, you're going to have wise counsels around you.
Yeah.
That's the reason for tribe. That's the reason why we've started this thing called the tribal fire.
Yeah.
Say more about how this dragon has upended your life a little bit.
This one?
Yeah.
The tribal fire?
Yeah. Or has it?
It has, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm an introvert. It's completely
On camera.
now I'm on fucking camera. I'm sitting here, I'm recording my voice. What?
Right.
I mean, I grew up in music, but I was a drummer. I sat behind. I had a wall in front of
You're
me.
behind the band.
Yeah, I was behind everybody.
Right.
I mean, I sat up sideways and backwards, but people.
Yeah, but
could
you were a
see me,
club owner, man. You were a bartender.
Yeah, but I
Right.
wasn't out front.
Got it.
Like this is, I mean, there's nothing
You're out front.
between me and the camera right now. I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm an introvert. Like all my notes and stuff like that, I write them in my phone. They're mine. I keep them.
Yep.
I'm not keeping them anymore.
Yeah.
So how has this upturned my life? I'm stepping into the spotlight.
Yeah, you are.
I'm stepping out. I'm using my voice. I'm speaking the truths that I've come up with for myself, and hopefully they transmit and people can relate in some way or see something different.
Yeah.
And it's like, and right out of the gate. I got a story.
Tell it.
Here we go. So story. So we started doing stuff with Just Ed Skill, a year and a half ago.
About that.
And there was tribe around it, and it kind of whittled down to just you and me,
Yeah.
actually, which is interesting. And then there was this opportunity for me to take on and organize the ISTA program this last February here in Oracle. And it was kind of semi-started, but not really. So I kind of took it on, and I don't know if it's ever been done before, but I put together the program pretty much from scratch in 6 months.
Yeah.
I had 6 months. I think I had 5 months and 2 weeks or something like that
Yeah.
to put the program together.
Short time.
Very short time, and I sold it out.
Yeah. This is normally, by the way, something that has to take 9 to 12 months or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, it's 9 to 12 months to
Yeah.
set up the program.
And you started with
depending on-
5 and a half months.
Yeah, depending on the venue and how many people can hold.
Mhm.
The venue wasn't full because they can hold way more people, but for what ISTA is and the way the room is and things like that, we had about 45 people. I think it was 44 people, including staff in the room.
Right.
And it was perfect. It was the perfect size.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did that. And the point of this is I went and did that, and that was a similar thing because I'm an introvert.
Right.
I do like doing things,
Yeah.
and at the same time I did play on stage in front of people,
Mhm.
and I was a club owner, and whatever. But I would go out during the day or at night and work and then go home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That way I'd have to.
And now we go out to clubs. And now we don't.
No, not happening.
We still don't do that.
Anyway, so did the ISTA program, and pictures got out, and people started seeing the fact that I was,
Right.
at this ISTA program
in a leadership capacity.
in a leadership
Yeah.
capacity. So as it was, so I was in a lot of the photos, and I was in
Mhm.
I was in a lot of the photos with the core group and things like that, and with the facilitators and stuff like that.
Right.
Anyway, point being, from out of nowhere, I got some haters. It's just,
I
so-
remember that.
Yeah. So I started getting texts on
Mm.
my phone.
Yeah.
They hit me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're friends with me on Facebook. You may have gotten a private message from some
I actually did.
dude. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
where he came from or whatever.
Some guy.
Some guy. Who knows who he is? And it was people who were supposedly friends of mine that I had actually spent a lot of time with. And, I haven't seen them in probably a good 10 years. And they were angry that I was part of a sacred sexuality community because I don't have custody of my children.
Right.
Like my children live in other states, so I don't see them that often.
Right.
And they got mad at me because I was at a sacred sexuality show. They started accusing me of things, of all these things.
Yeah.
And it's just, anyway, long story short, this is a big deal. Me sitting here telling this story and sitting, a foot and a half, 2 feet from a camera, sharing who I am and sharing what I think about and what my life is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's huge for me. So yeah, I feel a little
just a little just a little disruptive.
Yeah, it's
That's good.
How has this disrupted my life? This is. I mean, I don't have any haters.
Nothing so far.
I don't have any haters yet.
No haters so far.
So I mean,
and we're not inviting haters. So
I'm not inviting it, but at the same time, I have some pretty whacked out ideas about stuff.
Yeah.
I know that. I know, but I live my ideas.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some whacked out ideas when we come back.
know?
We're going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to come back to you.
Cool.
Michael Gibson and Lance
Cole. Yes.
We are the Tribal Fire Podcast, and we'll be right back.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Lori.
So I want to talk about our new creation, which is called Extraordinary Lovers.
Weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing it in London,
Yes, we are.
October 4th to 6th.
That's correct.
And we're going to be doing it in St. Petersburg, Florida. Oh, I don't know the exact dates, but second weekend in January 2020.
That's right.
And then our plan is to do it all over the world.
We're
going to have
taking
a world tour.
on tour.
We are.
We're going on tour with this.
So why is it so special?
It's an exciting experience for couples. The number one thing that I think that couples will come away with is knowing each other, is
Ooh.
being intimate
Ooh.
and juicy.
Ooh. That's wonderful. You know, so what we did was we combined our talents. So we took my Tantra class and we combined it with our sex magic class.
Right.
And then we combined that with your Just Ed skill class.
That's right.
And we came up with Extraordinary Lovers. So you've had an experience of being in self-love. You've had an experience of taking that love to a higher contribution, as it were. And then you have an experience of being extraordinary on the body and with the body of another.
Right.
And I don't think it gets any better than that.
Yes. Well, you'll be able to put all of these tools into your toolbox if you want to say it that way.
Anything else they should know?
This is going to be very transformative. Transformation occurs in these programs, and we've seen people walk away with new amazing insights for their own sexuality, sensuality, and how to seduce one another.
And can I say something?
Certainly.
We wouldn't teach anything that we wouldn't do.
That's right.
So we do this stuff that we're talking about all the time. So I need you to know that, because what we're talking about is an active part of our life together. And we're sharing actually very intimate details of how we are. You know, when I think back on it, I've had a lot of teachers in the spiritual realm, and I've had a lot of teachers in the tantric realm, but I don't think I think people taught things that were just like accepted things.
Right.
Some were theories, some were practical, hands-on, but I don't know anyone that shared the intimate details of their life with me the way you and I share intimate details of our life with others.
That's right.
So I'm underlining that because you know why? If I were you, I'd be really attracted to that. Finally, someone shared.
And feeling
All
that.
right, so we're going to leave you with that because if we tell too much, we'll tell too much. So we're not going to tell too much.
Right.
Let's just say that you can find us on the links below this video. We're going to post the links for the upcoming courses, and we want you there.
Welcome back to the Academy for Men's Tribal Fire podcast. I got to get it out, just say it right. Michael Gibson.
Lance Cole.
We're here to talk about some crazy stuff that's been going on. Well, maybe not talk about great, but the disruption.
Yeah, we're
Right.
talking about disruption.
Oh man, so big.
Yeah.
This is something that comes up because we're actually talking about your dragon. Like if you've ever read David Data's book, right?
Which one?
The Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah, sure.
He talks about purpose. He says, you got to have your purpose, and that's like one of the most important things, right? So we're relating this to what we call the dragon, right? And we're just giving it some kind of a different way to look at it, but it's the same concept. And you can go back and you can read that book, and you're going to find out a lot of what we're talking about right now is kind of fleshing that out, right? One of the things that you can expect is opposition.
Oh God, yeah.
Something you've already gotten. I mean, just taking steps. Now that experience that you just mentioned in the last segment, that has nothing to do with what we've been doing lately.
No.
That was something you were doing just in life, and got some pictures up on, and then imagine what happens when these same people find out that, you're co-hosting a podcast, a Tribal Fire podcast,
Right.
and then they start giving you shit about that. And by the way, just for your benefit, neither of us are paid. Okay, this is a volunteer organization so far.
Yeah.
So don't try to come after us for money. Just a disclaimer right there.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that this has definitely disrupted my life is that I had to give up my bedroom.
True. You did. You gave up your bedroom.
And we converted it because it was the largest, room in the house, and it's got really good soundproofing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we turned it into a podcast studio.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I love his style of
Me too.
podcast. I think he's brilliant. First of all, as an interviewer, he's a great comedian and an advocate for all the things that I believe in, marijuana and all these other stuff, space, technology, and amongst other things. But I kind of wanted to have something like that, right? Be what it was that we could try to create together.
Yeah, totally.
And so the first disruption was lost my bedroom, but I got a podcast studio. So there's that. The second thing I lost out was a couple nights a week.
Yeah.
You know what?
That too.
You and I get together and we bang out a couple of podcasts a couple nights a week.
Yeah.
Or we do other things like, upgrading the location.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
The last video that you were in, you had this big picture behind you, and it wasn't the same as like what's behind me. And so I was like, why don't we just change that?
Yeah.
And so we got together and we did it.
Yeah.
And it looks fabulous, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it looks really
good.
It looks really good.
Looks like I got blue behind me.
I don't know
bit
why
there.
that is.
It's kind of cool,
That's all right.
but it's supposed
It's your
to be
halo,
black.
bro.
No.
Why don't I have any blue behind me?
Is this an aura camera?
Maybe. I don't know, dude. Anyway, so a couple nights a week, right?
Yeah.
But more than that, the things that I think I've lost, right? My life has been disrupted. My life has also been radically disrupted with the friendships that I now have.
Yeah.
And so they're deepening. They're becoming more interesting. They're becoming much more fluid in my own life. Like I'm actually getting around this. Not like you.
Yeah.
I can be an extrovert. I am a situational extrovert.
I like that. That sounds pretty good.
Sounds like what you
Yeah,
are.
it sounds about like what I am. Yeah.
For the most part, I'm an introvert, And when I need to be an extrovert, I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But yeah, it's different being out more often than I'm used to. It's different, after work coming and getting in real creative and trying to get something that matters to people out in front of them.
Yeah.
And I think, which is what we're about, right? We're
Yeah.
trying to get this information out. And Just Add Skill is one of the things that we've been working on for quite some time now. And a lot of what we talk about in Just Add Skill is latent. It's underneath. You got to kind of listen through to hear what we're really saying, because communication, presence, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's what we teach in these programs.
Yeah.
Communication, presence, safety, holding space, consent, right? All the things that at the very beginning of the program is what's taught, because men don't understand or haven't been taught. Women need to feel safe.
Yeah.
There's this great quote that Lori gives often about Woody Allen. Woody Allen says this.
Yeah.
Women need a reason to have sex.
Yeah.
Men just need a place.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
I
think we're moving away from that, though.
That's exactly what we're moving away from.
Yeah.
And I think women need a reason, and that reason would be safety.
Yeah.
Sure. Women want to feel safe. They want to feel like, this guy is not going to do me any harm.
Yeah.
And also, men need to learn how to reverence and honor women.
Yeah.
At the level that we reverence and honor our heroes.
Yeah. I'd like to get to a place where it's natural for a woman to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, right? Imagine that. And I'm taking it pretty far. I just jumped a couple millennia. But anyway, I'm just thinking about that. I hear you say it, and it saddens. I felt sad in my heart when I hear you say that.
Yeah.
Because it's imagine how, we're talking about what we're talking about the beginning, what we were talking about women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I have the what is this? The beauty of having a partner in my life who is free. She's just free. She's free sexually. She's in tune with herself. She's just there.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously we've built a relationship. We've been, we've been in partnership of some sort. It has changed, right, over the course of a couple of years. So it's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years. So, and it's morphed. But she is able to own who she is with me in such a way as not feeling safe is not an option. For her, it's not even in the vocabulary. It's not even in the solar system. Right. So it's being able, because we've gone deep, because we've connected, because we communicate, because we've done all these different things. It's throwing that out there to the guys out there is if you can carry yourself in the world in such a way where it becomes second nature, where there's not even a fleeting thought for a woman to feel safe. She just fucking feels it.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And you just know it. You don't even have a fleeting thought about it either. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And maybe some of you can relate to what I'm saying, being in partnerships that you're in with your, intimate partners. But imagine that, and then out in the world, walking down the street, going to a restaurant, sitting at a bar, do whatever it is you do in the world. Going to your karate class, whatever you're doing.
Yoga class.
Yoga class, whatever it is, and just there's not even a thought. It's just a natural way of being. It's innate in us.
Yeah. Women, when you're in the space, women feel safe.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a foregone conclusion in your mind that there is no such thing as a woman that's not safe around me.
Right.
I'm a protector.
Yeah.
I hold space. I make sure that she has the ability to communicate how she needs to.
Yeah.
When I first started learning,
Define protector.
yeah, well, so and when I say protector, I mean
Yeah.
literally warrior. So
Right.
if you were in a space, Starbucks, and some
Yeah.
guy started accosting a woman,
Yeah.
you're the kind of man that would step in,
Yeah.
right?
But there's also, I wanted to expand on that,
Mm-hmm.
and that, because what I was reflecting on is like that energetic that you
Sure.
carry. So that energetic that you carry.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're in that Starbucks, that guy's not even going to think twice about doing it because he can fucking feel you.
Precisely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And if it did happen,
Yeah.
because he's oblivious,
Yeah.
you would step in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You bring it in. I
Yeah.
mean, so that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So part of it is that, not only that women feel safe around you, they are safe around you.
Right.
So one of the things that we say in Just Add Skill is, I don't really care if a woman feels safe around you. I want to know that she is safe around you.
Right.
Like you're the kind of guy that, holds that level of integrity in the
Yeah.
space. We say space a lot. So let's
Yeah.
define that, right?
Yeah. What's space?
What we mean by space is the area in which you have some energetic control over,
Yeah.
right? So some men hold large, right, swaths of space.
Sure.
Other men hold tighter, right, space. And all men can hold multiple different dimensions and dimensions, multiple different sizes and right.
Yeah.
of
Like
space.
levels. Yeah.
So that's what I mean by space, right? Holding the space. And what does that mean? It's like your awareness.
Yeah.
Space, holding the masculine awareness, right?
Yeah.
Knowing who's in the room, like you paying attention,
Yeah.
right? Breathing,
Yeah.
staying connected to your body. This is all Tantra.
Yeah.
We teach Tantra, we just don't call it that in this program.
Yeah.
What we talk about are in these programs that we lead. We don't talk about it like it's Tantra. We don't talk about it like it's shamanism, although it is. The reason that we do that is because this is mainstream stuff that people need to use right now without all the titles,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So you're now you're now somebody who's kind of standing in a place that's unique.
Yeah.
Women feel safe; they are safe. Other men acknowledge your presence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's a program out there led by a guy by the name of Decker. I highly recommend you get involved if you've never done it. It's an incredible program. It's called the Authentic Man Program.
Yeah.
Still does it. Still going strong. They're a powerful group of men, and he teaches presence like nobody I've ever seen. Some of the stuff that we do is a pull in from some of those exercises that he taught. He's a genius, man. But presence is the thing that matters most to women.
Yeah.
I've interviewed over 300 men and women. The women that I interviewed, I asked them, have you ever had a level 10 experience, a sexual experience, a level 10 being like out of this world, like mind blowing, like she never forgot that guy. She knows who he is,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Like she had that experience. I asked her, of all the times you've ever had sexual experience, like count them up,
Yeah.
right? What percentage was a level 10?
Yeah.
I asked men and women. Men said 30% on average.
Yeah.
Women said 2%.
2%.
30%, 2%.
Yeah.
So is it any wonder women aren't going, come and fuck me?
Mm-hmm.
I want you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what are the chances they're going to get a level 10 out of this?
Right.
2%. That's
Yeah.
that's the statistics.
Right. Right.
Guys, think
Yeah.
about that for a minute.
That's a level 10. I mean, that doesn't
Level
mean
10.
the sex was bad every single time. I mean, they could have had a level 7 or something.
Sure,
Like that.
level 7 would have
Yeah.
been acceptable.
That's
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah. But level 10.
Even those numbers are low, and I
Yeah.
did. I took
Yeah.
reference in those.
I know you did. I know you did. It's scary.
I wanted to know, just like Alfred Kinsey wanted to know,
Yeah.
just like Masters and Johnson wanted to know what's really going on. And so I literally drove Lyft for a year and a half, and I still have them, and I handed out these surveys to people, asking them a bunch of questions, and these were the questions that were on them. And then I went online and did that. So I had a nice sampling. The point is that the one thing that women, when I asked women, I said, okay, so 2%, what makes a level 10 experience to you? I mean, I was like, this was my next question, right? Okay.
Sure.
You've had a few, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, what would you consider to be a level 10 experience? And the number one response,
I'm on the edge of my seat, man.
presence.
Presence.
It was
Yeah.
presence. Women said, a man that's present,
Yeah.
he is an extraordinary lover.
Yeah.
And then, ding,
Yep.
and I got it. And I went, no wonder the stuff that I do, that I learned from the AMPK, or the,
Yep.
I'm sorry,
AMP
the
program,
the AMP program.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder that stuff works so well with women, because they really do need presence.
Yeah.
Like, it's a need.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
like what Lori talks about when we teach bliss, we talk about when you're having sex and you're not present. It's like, well, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking of, like, she uses the jokes about thinking about the baseball game or the hockey game or something like that. It's like, you know, you're sitting there banging away or whatever you're doing, and you're not even looking in her eyes. You're looking off into space,
Right.
and, you know, thinking about the football game or whatever you're missing on TV or something like that. You know.
Yep.
And it's like
Your mind
completely out of
wanders.
presence.
Your
Yeah.
mind wanders.
Your mind can wander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the scary thing about this. You and I demonstrate this in the program.
Yeah.
Just at scale. We demonstrate it.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. They know.
Yeah.
They
do.
know when you're thinking about the
They
baseball
totally-
game and
Yes.
what color paint we're going to put on the, you
like
know,
that too.
in a moment
Yeah.
they can tease it out. They know
Yep.
exactly when it happens. They look at you and go, "What happened to you?"
Yeah. Where'd you
Right.
go?
This actually happened to me. I was making love to my girlfriend,
Yeah.
and I was, you know, we're in the bed, and you know, I've got a couple
Yeah.
of nightstands, and on the left-hand nightstand there's this. It's just a clock. It was one of the digital clocks.
Yeah.
And we're going at it. I look over and I just glanced away for a second, looked at it, and I saw it, and I went, "Oh, this is what time it is." Right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what time it was. And then I looked back at her, and I was still going,
Yeah.
and I go, and I could sense something was like
Yeah,
off.
something
Like,
changed.
something was off.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, and she had this like weird look on her face, and I went, "Where'd you go?" And she goes, "Where'd you go?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh shit!"
Wow.
And that was the first time I learned
Yeah.
about presence.
Yeah.
And she taught me that lesson, and to this day I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Here's the
It's
other.
two people. I mean, you're connected in that space with each other.
Um,
You're like that gift of being inside a woman,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
And then
Balls deep.
yeah. I love it. That gift of being inside a woman like that and being connected, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
You know,
And they can sense it.
they can totally sense it.
They can sense it. So it was two things that I recognized when that happened.
Yeah.
And this was years later, okay, that I came up with this hypothesis. And that is that when your attention moves away, right, you
Yeah.
lose focus.
Yeah.
And this is something that you need to remember as a man. Men easily can not only gain but maintain focus
Yeah. Totally.
easily.
Mhm.
This is why we're not really good at multitasking.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, science has shown that if you walk up to a guy and you're like, "Hey, man, I need you to take this file and do something with it," and he was working on something, it takes him 10 minutes
Yeah.
to get back into it, so
Back
that
into the
he's
flow.
back into the role of it and doing it.
Yeah.
That kind of an interruption for a woman is no big deal.
Right.
Women can easily multitask because of the way their evolution has brought them along.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about this, but it's interesting science to see what has evolved, how we've evolved separately together. You know, as a species, men would go out and hunt, and women would go out and gather. Women would know all the right herbs and plants and vegetables and things like that were edible,
Yeah.
right? It was a life or death situation at that level, and so they could be able to see the entire meadow or wherever it was that they were out gathering.
Yeah.
They could not only see all that, but they had to be able to see that and see, the mountain lion.
Right.
They had to be able to detect This is what's called diffuse awareness. It's something that
Yeah.
Alison Armstrong teaches. Diffuse awareness means it's like when you pour water onto the floor and it goes everywhere.
It goes all over the place.
They
yeah.
have
Mhm.
they have total awareness of everything.
Yeah.
Let me illustrate this for you for a second. Have you ever lost your keys?
Mm.
Went around the entire fucking house looking for your keys, right? And then you go, honey, have you seen my keys? And she goes, yeah, they're right over there.
Yeah. That's a good illustration.
Diffuse awareness.
They get it.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done this, and you know, each time you're focusing in on each space that you're looking, right?
Yeah.
Men were designed. I hate that word design, but men evolved
Yeah.
with the ability to track the animal as it's at a full gallop, right? To
Right.
pull the spear back and to launch that spear and hit it in the heart.
Yeah.
Okay, that's focus.
Yeah.
That kind of intensity, right? To be able to feed the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, men, we come back from being out there and doing the hunting and being in the hunting party or the war party or whatever. We come back with that intensity of focus,
Yeah.
and then we turn it on our women. Like we're hunters
Right.
for the women. Now women become the prey.
Right.
And what you and I are trying to do is say, okay, yes, focus is super important, but what we want to do is we want to shift roles.
Yeah.
We want to shift archetypes. So when you come home, go ahead and put away your spear, right?
Yeah.
Put away your, you know, whatever it is, your warrior stuff.
Yeah.
Keep your focus,
Yeah.
right? And go ahead and put on the headdress of the shaman.
Yeah.
And so you change archetypes.
Yeah.
You're no longer the hunter, now you're the shaman.
Right.
And you're the shaman because you're dealing with woman,
Yeah.
right?
This is the example I want to put this in there. The temples of the past.
Yeah,
That's what the temples of the past were. When the warriors came home from battle,
right.
they weren't allowed back into society until they had spent some time in the temple.
And as I understand it, this was a Roman, this was
No, I'm talking about.
all temples?
I'm
like
talking
Greek?
about. No, I'm talking about the sacred sexuality temples.
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking about like Babylon and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the old school stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would. Warriors would go to battle, and they weren't allowed back into society until they
That's right.
spent some time in the temple for a week or two. You know, depending on how long it took them to lose that, not to lose focus, but to come back to what reality is.
Right.
You know, and you can attribute this to the guys that have gone to war over the years. I mean, I have some friends that I work with. They have PTSD.
Yeah. They didn't get to.
They didn't get the downtime. They didn't get the integration.
Yep.
They didn't get, you know. I mean, to look back at Vietnam, all the vets that didn't get the integration.
That's right.
You know.
So that's super important, and it's also how healing was done
Yeah.
because they realized that they had to re-civilize these men.
Yes.
As a hunter, as a warrior, you can go off to war, and you may be called upon to do some very horrific things, brutal, horrific things.
Yeah.
And then how do you come back from that? How do you come back from a lifetime spent out in the field?
Right.
And a lifetime could be 6 months. These guys go on tour, and they come back from, you know,
Some of the-
Afghanistan,
Some of the stuff I've seen. So I've seen some
and they're
pictures. and
they're different people, and they haven't had the
Totally.
chance to reintegrate. Wouldn't it be great if we had sacred temples with temple priestesses? And in
Mhm.
fact, I think that's what they were called, the temple priestess. I know
Yeah.
this, but I think that there was a progression over time where they lost honor and they were called
Course.
prostitutes,
Yeah, prostitutes.
temple prostitutes.
Yeah.
And that's what they were called for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was because they were selling this they were selling this reintegration for the men to come back into.
Yeah.
And they were revered, I mean, as temple priestesses. Men need that. We need to be able to have these men come back and spend time in an interim between society, right, and war.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we were able to do that, and sex was a big part of their healing process.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
the women would give them baths. They would provide sexual pleasure. They would rub their bodies. They would get them
Mhm.
reintegrated into their own bodies. They would help them.
Yeah.
And they would just lie with them and talk to them. And, you know, that's sexual healing, if you want to call it that. I mean,
that's where it comes from. That's
So-
the whole premise of it.
you have touched on something that I think is probably more needed today.
Oh God, yeah, yeah,
And again, in the world of safety for women, in the world of safety for men, right? And then at the same time, having men be able to switch from warrior to shaman.
yeah.
And that can happen at home in a microcosm,
Right.
a little bit smaller, like instead of months at the, right?
Yep.
It could be just 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
To have your man move from, he's got to be able to have some transition time from,
Mhm.
being at the office to being home.
Yeah.
Right.
And it could go both ways. I mean, women could need it too.
Absolutely.
You know? So it's like if you figure out a way to be with each other and to have connection time. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you get home from whatever your day was and you need personal time for 15 or 20 minutes, but you
That's right.
have the agreement to come together, for 15 or 20 minutes, and or 2 hours, whatever
right.
it is. It doesn't have to be sexual time. It could just be connection of some sort.
And don't think for a minute that women can't do this warrior thing.
Oh God, yeah, they can't. Are you kidding me?
And they experience PTSD. They experience all the things that men do
All
because
of
we're
it.
human beings.
Yeah,
But and they need that same level of love and care
yeah,
when they return from the office.
yeah,
There's a lot of women that are having to put on the masculine,
Yeah.
which is not hard. I mean, we're already both. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
We're both. We're both masculine and feminine.
Mhm.
We have capacity for both, and you need to be able to switch back and forth based on the situation you're in and how it
Yeah.
will benefit the situation you're in or you
yeah, totally.
as it's going on. And for women, many times it's to be masculine.
Yeah.
It's to be in a scenario or be in a situation where masculine is appropriate for her. Then she comes home and she's still masculine.
I'm gonna put out a theory.
Hit it.
So a theory is that everyone, whether female body or male body, is in masculine all the time.
All the time.
Yeah,
I don't-
constantly.
I don't
That's
know
how we
about that.
operate. And then we
Modern or
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
time. Yeah. And then feminine is a state you reach and you can get to, but you're operating all the time in the masculine because you're constantly doing it. It's a theory, people. So, and I've read it in a couple places, and it's kind of a deeper ancient tantric philosophy.
Sure. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but it's
not either.
interesting to tease out.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking about having men move away from being, the single-focused a hunter, right? To take that hunter archetype, switch it over to shaman, so that they can operate as something different for women and create that safety space.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting to,
Mm-hmm.
and we call it modern shamanism.
Yeah.
We incorporate all of as much of the stuff that we can from the past, from these lineages that
Yeah.
right have brought forth some really great information, and also what we know about the human body and hormones and our physical the physical aspect of our pleasure centers and
Yeah.
erogenous zones, and like we put all that in there
Yeah.
because any shaman who's worth his weight in salt is going to know this shit.
Yes.
And here's the problem. 70% of all the people that I've ever asked,
Yeah.
did you ever get the talk growing up?
Oh, yeah.
The sex talk?
Yeah.
70% said no.
Yeah.
And of the 30% that I asked, the 30% that said yes, they got some kind of a talk or a book or something like
Yeah.
that. I asked them the same thing.
Yeah.
But right, I said this. Well, what did they teach you?
Right.
Because I was interested.
That's important because they either didn't get it or they got handed a book. Or,
Right. So the ones that said, yeah, I got it. I asked, well, what did they tell you? What did they say?
Yeah.
What did your mom and dad say? And by and large, it was a two-pronged approach to not experiencing pain.
Yeah.
Right. Don't get pregnant.
Right.
And use a condom.
Yeah.
So don't get a disease and don't get pregnant.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Like to a kid or a teenager who doesn't even know what sex is yet, right? Because they haven't done it, or
Yeah.
maybe they lived a sheltered life and didn't look at porn or something like that yet. I know me growing up, porn was at the store in a magazine.
Right,
It wasn't.
right. It was under my
wasn't-
brother's bed. That's
Yeah, right.
that's where my porn was.
right. That's the first time I think I found it too, under my brother's
bro.
mattress.
Yeah.
But so learning what porn, and that wasn't even like people actually engaged with each other. It was just
Right.
pictures of naked women,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I think my sister had some
Guy.
magazines.
Your sister had guy mags.
Yeah, like naked guy
Wow.
magazines.
Wow.
Playgirl.
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 that's
That was
right.
what it was called.
That's
So
what
she
it
had
was
some of those. So, shit, I'm digging through my sister's room looking for a cigarette or something, and I see a Playgirl, so I look at it.
They had dicks in those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all guys. It
was
was
guys.
yeah, they were naked. Yeah, naked guys.
Naked guys with dicks.
What was my point? I don't remember my point. Fuck, it's gone.
We'll have to go outside and get it.
Yeah, went outside. It's out there
sorry,
somewhere.
man.
Nah, it's all right.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I do that sometimes. I'll
tangents,
get you off track.
tangents.
No, but when we had some people had porn, I
Yeah.
think is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But that's not an education. Right. That's-
Right. No. Right. That's what we were talking. We were talking about the talk
Right,
and getting
yeah,
the talk.
yeah.
So it's like if they haven't had anything, they don't even like. What the fuck is a condom, Dad?
Right.
Mom.
Oh, I
You know,
promise you, I won't get
what-
pregnant. I don't even know how.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how to get pregnant.
thanks, Dad.
What does that even mean?
You know, it's
Like,
crazy.
The educational system of the parent, like the parent's education on sex, it's like.
If you've got a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, I told my son about sex when he was 13 years old,
Yeah.
and it was the worst talk any dad could have. I'm not proud of this, but I'm sure if there is an award to be handed out for the worst talk ever given to a son, I actually
You actually have that award?
I earned that one.
Self-appointed. Self-appointed.
So in case you're
worst-
wondering what I said to him,
yes, yes, we are.
the conversation before that was my wife at the time saying, "You got to give him the talk. He's 13." And I went,
Ah.
"Okay." So here was the talk I gave my son. I said, "Son, I got to give you the talk." And he says, "Okay." And he goes, "Yeah, I kind of already know." And I go, "Well, here it is. Tab A goes into slot B. You got it?" He looked at me and he said, "Yeah, I got it, Dad." And I went, "Okay." That was it. Worst fucking talk
Love it.
ever.
Love it.
Worst talk. I made it up to him afterwards. Like I
Yeah,
actually-
sure.
Later
Of
on
course.
down the road,
Yeah.
I had better conversation with him and we talked a little further, but it wasn't until he was like, I don't know, 20.
Tell him what your mom told you about it.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Your story, because the tab A slot B thing is not that far from
what Mom said to
Mom
me.
said to you. It's a little different.
I think it was-
your mom's has a little bit of story to it. It's a little more colorful, but
It was about 7 years old. And I'd walked in and that day I had heard the term birds and the bees.
yeah.
So I walk in and I said, "Hey, Mom, what's the birds and the bees?" And my mom just kind of looked at me for a second and she goes, "Well, honey, the bees like to sting the birds and the birds let them." And I went, "Okay,
Thanks, Mom.
thanks, Mom." And I turned around, I walked outside and I went out and played with some friends.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. If any of my friends would have asked me about the birds and the bees, I would have confidently given them that information.
Of course,
Because my
of
mom
course.
said so, right?
Yeah.
And I would have been completely wrong. Well,
Yeah.
not necessarily wrong, but I don't think it. I was 7.
Yeah, you were 7. That was the best. That was actually a really good response from your mom.
Right.
You're 7 years old.
Tell him
Yeah.
something he'd never figure out
Yeah.
till he's even 50.
Yeah.
I still don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Birds sting the birds, bees sting the birds, birds let them. Anyway,
Weird stuff.
so that was the talk I got from my mom. And interestingly enough, I don't think we ever had a conversation about sex after that until I was an adult. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like she was telling me anything.
Right.
And I wasn't asking her any questions. It was just a conversation about sex, because I had kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this conversation about how we get the skills and the understanding of how to touch and how to be with our beloved it's an untapped conversation.
Yeah.
It's like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we want this to happen. This is part of what Tribal Fire is doing. We're trying to have these conversations so that men can actually think about this stuff and go,
Yeah.
wait a minute, hold on. Let's have a moment and talk about, or even think about this. What does a woman need in order for her to experience a level 7 or a level 10
Yeah.
sexual experience? How many orgasms would she say, this would be a level 7?
Yeah.
What level of presence,
Right.
your seduction, how you're being with her, the ability to read her body, to understand the expressions. Every time she does something, you can read that and then know what to do next, and it's never
Yeah.
the same.
Right.
Where do you get that education from? Because dad'll probably just tell you something fucking incredibly stupid like tab A slot B.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
So-
You actually got more than I got.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
sure. I think by the time my parents actually came to me and talked about it, I had already had sex.
I'm overwhelmed with guilt.
Yeah.
I got a better talk than you did.
You did. I didn't get.
That's funny though, because you
get
probably
much
could have
at
told mom a little something, or mom or dad. Was it dad?
all. Yeah.
They
It
gave you
was
that?
actually both of them, I think, and
Yeah.
then I think my mom left the room.
Smart lady.
Yeah.
Smart lady.
I was old. I was older. I mean,
How old were you?
I think I was like 18 or 19
Oh
or
Jesus!
something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you'd had sex many times
Yeah,
since
I
then.
had sex already.
Oh, yeah.
It's high school, I did
was-
actually wait a while.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think I was.
I think I was like
How old
16,
were you? How old
16
were
and a
you
half,
when you
17.
when you lost your virginity, quote unquote?
17?
17.
Yeah.
I was 13. It was right after. It was the day of our graduation from junior high. The day of, we went and stayed over at a friend's house, and
Yeah.
his older sister, who I think was 16, seduced me.
Nice.
I don't know if it happened that way. Actually, I was a little drunk, but
Sure. Who knows?
she and I had sex. It was terrible for her. I'm serious.
Did she tell you that?
It was.
Okay, she told you.
I'm serious. It was really bad.
It was no
It was
good.
my first time. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, great. So
Yeah.
what I wished, what I would wish for,
What's that?
right? And this is, if I have the opportunity, I'm gonna do this for my son. I hope.
Oh yeah.
Give him a sensual massage video.
Oh. That's a
This
great
is
idea.
how you treat a woman.
Sure.
This is what you do. Don't give him one where they're having sex in it.
No.
Give him one that trains him how to touch a woman,
Right.
right?
Or
how to be with a woman.
learning a woman's
Right.
anatomy.
Learning a woman's anatomy, learning a woman's
Incredibly
body,
important.
right?
Yes.
And then also teach them how to communicate.
Well, you and I are actually doing this stuff.
Yes, right, of course.
so-
So I'm going to give it to my son.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
These videos are going to be actually available and up
Yes.
on our Patreon page.
Yes, they are.
And people will be able to get access to all of those videos and this will be exactly what you're talking about. How
Yes.
to touch a woman, how to give a massage,
Yeah.
Understanding female anatomy, the female
Yeah.
pleasure points, the female, erotic zones, and also how they integrate together and
Yes.
all of that.
All
That's all going to be up there.
Yep.
And you can get access to it at patreon.com. So, that's something that I would have loved to have had myself. And actually, part of how the stuff that I learned came from that.
Yeah,
I actually,
sure.
I had a video
Yeah.
that taught 2 different types of massage. The one was a sensual massage
Yeah.
with the point of producing orgasms. And then the other one was just a basic, what do they call it? Swedish massage?
Yeah.
It's a
probably
Swedish massage.
massage.
But that basically taught you how the body worked. And,
Yeah. You get
how
a
to-
little bit of anatomy and muscle
Yep.
directions and all
Yep,
that stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Totally.
This has been an incredibly lively conversation. We've gone
Yeah.
a bunch of different, we've hit a bunch of different corners. I think what people need to know is that what we're talking about here is really to open up the conversation,
Yeah.
to see things maybe a little bit differently, and also to get involved in the conversation. So allow
Yes.
this to awaken something in you, right? This tribal fire that we talk about, we really wanted to awaken this fire in men for women. I can't stress how important it is for men to really fall in love with the women in their lives.
Yeah.
Your beloved, your mother, every woman. Okay, I believe this. Every woman has a goddess inside of her.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So true.
And if you can just learn how to bring her out as a
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
we're uniquely qualified for that. But we've got to do several things, and that is, number one, we've got to make them feel safe.
Yeah.
Number two, we've got to be present.
Yeah.
And number three, we've got to listen to the communication.
Yeah.
You got to get that.
Yeah.
Those are just a few things that I would recommend. And if you have a dragon, oh my God, women are going to be attracted to you like crazy.
It's true.
And there's some things you need to know about growing a dragon.
Yeah.
We'll do it again
This is a
soon.
good one. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for joining us in this tribal fire.